Welcome back to Ask Mr. Franchise. Our guest today is Mr. KB Bose, the Vice President of Marketing for Shoeless Joe's Sports Grill. KB, welcome to our show.
Thanks, Shawn. Happy to be here.
Thanks for coming today. You've got an amazing story and an amazing background, and I'm really impressed with the campaigns you've been pulling off for Shoeless Joe's Sports Grill. We're hearing a lot of buzz in the marketplace. A lot of people are very interested in knowing who you are and your story and how you kind of came to Shoeless Joe's. Can you share a bit of that with us?
Sure. Nice to know there's people interested in knowing where I came from. But spent most of my career south of the border. Started off in consulting and then moved into marketing later. Worked primarily with PepsiCo to start my career in Los Angeles, and then Kraft Foods in Chicago. And then was recruited to come up and join Second Cup Coffee back when the competition was making an entry into Canada. And that was a really exciting time for us. And after Second Cup, I actually joined the financial services world and worked with a bank for the last 10 years in financial planning. And now got an opportunity to come back to what I truly love, which is working in marketing in a franchise-based organization, and really happy to be at Shoeless Joe's.
Excellent. And Shoeless Joe's is lucky to have you as part of the team.
Well, thank you. Sure.
Now, you've been running some really interesting campaigns. I think one of the first ones that you did that really made a huge impact in the chain was you gave away a Ford Mustang.
Yep.
And I think there's more to that campaign than most people realize.
Got it.
Can you talk us through how a feature menu campaign like that works and the impact it had on the chain?
Sure. The first thing I'll clarify is there were actually two Ford Mustangs. One's in my driveway, but no one knows about that one. But basically, when I came on board, I think just to backtrack a little bit on how we set up the promotions, is that when I came on board, we looked at the research, and what we found was that Shoeless Joe's was doing quite all right as a restaurant, but really where we were differentiating ourselves in the eyes of the customer in Ontario was really as a sports hospitality destination. So the first thing we decided to do when we looked at the research is to say that if they're already giving us that leadership position, why don't we go and solidify that leadership position? And everything we've been doing since then has been about celebrating sports and basically owning, becoming the dominant sports hospitality concept in Ontario. So as part of that, one of the first promotions we did was around what we called Hockey Night at Shoeless Joe's. And it was hockey based, and as part of the promotion, we wanted to thank our customers for all of their joining Shoeless Joe's and attending Shoeless Joe's and get
their customer loyalty.
Customer loyalty.
Sure.
And we really appreciated that, and we wanted to thank them. So the first promotion that we did was when we got everyone together at one of our new locations, which opened on February 12th, and had a massive party. And at that party, which they all attended, we gave away 6 big screen TVs, 4 cruises, and a Ford Mustang convertible. So I think what we created there were customers who became ambassadors for Shoeless Joe's when they went back to the communities. And the other thing I'd add is that we had representation across all of our stores, and we had winners come from all of our stores, which means they came from all of the communities. And I think they went back satisfied and spread the word about kind of the change and the evolution of Shoeless Joe's, and that's what I'm most excited about.
That's a really cool story.
Yeah, thanks.
Now, one of the things is, Shoeless Joe's, there's a bit of a David and Goliath story here with Shoeless Joe's, because there's some really big competitors out there with huge marketing budgets. Yeah. And I think you made a very strategic decision. This is going back maybe around 3 or 4 months around UFC 129. Yeah. In who to align the brand with to get that long-term benefit. I know that one of the brands out there really owns the NHL in Canada. Yeah. And a brand the size of Shoeless Joe's, 36 restaurants right now in Ontario, only doesn't really have the capacity to own the NHL in Canada. But they did somehow get the capacity to own one of the biggest brands in the world.
Yes.
Can you tell us that story and also about the whole campaign that you did around relaunching that?
Sure. So the first thing I'll say is absolutely NHL is the biggest sports property in Canada. So there's no getting away from that. And if I had unlimited dollars, that would probably be the sports franchise that I would align with. However, given limited resources that you spoke about, I think the biggest thing for me was to look at what our customers were looking for. And next to the NHL, the UFC, obviously being a growing brand all around the world, was something that I wanted to partner with. when UFC opened their offices in Canada.
And UFC is that mixed martial arts fighting thing that happens on the weekends.
Ultimate Fighting Championship.
The pay-per-views.
Exactly. Pay-per-views. They have reality shows on TV called The Ultimate Fighter. And they opened an office in Canada last year to get the rights to have a fight in our Ontario location. And I was really excited about that, and reached out and had a kind of mutual touch point with the UFC. And even though they're massive around the world, they were new in Canada. So it was a great opportunity for us to build our brand through a partnership with them, and them to build their brand through a partnership with us. And this was the first UFC event held ever in Toronto. And they had the biggest crowd they've ever had for any event across the world. So, given that this was such a big event,
sold out in like 4 minutes or something.
Yeah, they had well, they had most of the seats sold out before they went out to the public, and then the public sold out in 4 minutes.
Okay.
So I think it was a fantastic opportunity for us to build that relationship with them, and also for our fans to have an opportunity to go and win tickets through us to a sold out event. So as we put that together, we definitely detected a real buzz among our customers. And I just want to point out that was the only official chain-wide promotion that was done in Canada, and with the UFC, and I'm pretty proud about that.
Well, you also had the rights to the name. You were able to use their brand, and you were the only restaurant chain, as my understanding, that actually had tickets to give away to this event.
As a chain-wide promotion, yes. Obviously, there were individual
there's
locations.
Independence.
Absolutely, yes.
And my understanding was almost like a VIP weekend for the people that won tickets.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the tickets were in a section. I called it the Shoeless Joe section, and I think more than anything else, I think what touched me was we had an agency fulfill the tickets, and they sent me a note, a picture, and the picture was that a daughter had come up to pick up the tickets for her father who had won, and he didn't know about it. Sorry, the family had won, and she wrote a note to Dad, "Hey Dad, we're going to the UFC," and left it on the dining room table, and I got a photograph of that, and so that really kind of hit home for me that how important this was for fans to go see the first UFC event in Toronto.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You also now you leveraged that also, because I understand that there was a relaunch of a very core menu item for Shoeless Joe's around the same time.
Absolutely. I think stepping back a little bit, I think when I came on board, I recognized that we've got a fairly new team at Shoeless Joe's, and I just want to make it clear that for all of us, the most important part of the Shoeless Joe's engine is our franchise community. And when I came on board, I think the first thing I did was reach out to the franchise community. We have a leadership council that I work very closely with. We've got new heads in pretty much all the functions across Shoeless Joe's, and training, operations, culinary, all of those functions. And I think for us, it was really important to understand what Shoeless Joe's was all about. Once we had that direction of becoming the most dominant, sports hospitality destination in Ontario, I think for that, obviously from my perspective, from a marketing perspective, I'm looking at sports-oriented promotions. But the other piece for us was that we also wanted to make some big improvements on our drinks, offerings and our food offerings. So, we worked in partnership. I mean, everything we do is in partnership, whether it's internal or working with the franchise community, because at the end of the day, our success depends on how well it's executed, in our stores, and franchisees that really, are engaged in what we develop and are excited about what we develop are going to execute it, with love. And for me, that was very important. But while I was working on the sports promotions, we also worked very closely internally to partner to build a new, a drinks launch menu and a food menu. And both of those have kind of hit the market over the last couple of months. So I'm really excited. I think someone walking to Shoeless Joe's right now will have a completely different experience than they had a year ago.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's really exciting.
Absolutely.
One of the core items that you also retooled around the UFC promotion was the chicken wing.
Absolutely.
And you really partnered that in with the UFC tie-in.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about the impact that had?
Well, absolutely. I think as I worked with my partner, Culinary, chef, we kind of sat down and figured out that we wanted to launch the new menu, midway through the year in June. And what we did was set up for all the promotions kind of a testing plan. So we had a promotion with the Raptors early in the year where we looked at our pizza. We had the next promotion with the launch of another product. where we looked at appetizer menu. And then when we came to the UFC, we said, what do UFC fans love? And we said it's our wings. And you know, we made took some big steps to cook them fresh. We've got larger size wings than a competition, and we've got, I think, 1 million flavors. You know, so I don't think anyone's going to be disappointed. So again, we take a fact-based decision-making approach, and you know, for all those menus that we launched, what you'll find in the core menu and in our food menu that's actually been launched a couple weeks ago is all the items that made it. There were some items that I absolutely loved, but they didn't make the cut. But really, it's our consumers that drive that decision. And we looked at the sales of these items. We looked at the sales of the different flavors of the wings. We looked at the perception for the freshly made wings and the larger sized wings, and they were all, you know, huge wins for us. So that's what customers are going to now find at Shoeless Joe's ongoing. And I think that's going to be a big point of satisfaction for them.
Very cool. And looking forward to tasting those wings.
Absolutely.
How closely knit are marketing and culinary when it comes to development, when it comes to this launch of the new menu?
Absolutely.
I mean, this must be a massive project.
Yeah.
I've heard a term called menu engineering before.
Absolutely.
I've heard of the terms when it comes to drink menus, making sure the mix is right so that the profit margins are there. But marketing's got to be a big component in that. How closely do culinary and marketing really work together?
Well, I think that it's an equal contribution. Culinary does all the work, marketing takes all the credit. So in my mind, that's fairly equal. But absolutely, I think we have to work together. I think there's definitely looking at you know, whether it's the food menu or the drinks menu, we definitely look at what are the trends, what are the innovations that we can bring, you know, to the table, and then we try to test those, and we test those together, and we see what the consumers are saying for us. So not only the test that we did across the other promotions for different parts of a menu, but even before the menu launch, there was a massive test that was done for 5 weeks across, you know, some of our test stores. So again, it really gets back to consumer preference. We can put a number of ideas that are built around looking at what the trends are, looking at what, you know, the latest products are to come to the market. We obviously look at profitability because, you know, I want to build sales, but I want to build profitable sales because that's really what's going to drive the business for our franchisees, and that's #1 in my book. So absolutely, we look at all of those things. We also look at pricing to make sure that we're competitively priced across the, you know, the competition. But at the end of the day, you put all of that together, and I want Shoeless Joe's to provide the best value. And by value, I mean the quality of the product versus the price of the product. And if you can do that within the Shoeless Joe's, you know, sports hospitality experience, I think we've got a pretty winning, you know, prospect here.
Now, a lot of the members of the FAC committee, and FAC committee is Franchise Advisory Council, have called you the guardian of the ad fund.
Okay. All right.
Can you elaborate on that a bit and what that might mean, what they're talking about when they say that you're the guardian of the ad fund?
Well, I haven't heard that before, so that's a nice compliment. Thank you. I think you know, the ad fund is their money, and it's the way I look at it is it's my money, and basically the franchisees through the hard work, you know, drive their sales, and they give us a percentage of their sales that goes towards their advertising initiatives. So, you know, for me, my job is to really manage that ad fund so that we can fund our promotions through the year, but manage it effectively. You know, if I spend dollars, and believe me, I'm not perfect, but if I spend dollars on a promotion or some kind of initiative and it doesn't work out, well, that initiative or you know, that promotion is not going to see the light of day again. And we look at the ad fund, we manage it in 3 different ways. There's obviously the corporate chain-wide kind of initiatives that happen. There's also LSM, local store marketing initiatives that happen, and there's fundamental core initiatives that support marketing. So running the website, social media plans, you know, things like that, printing of menus, etc. So I think we look at those. We look at, you know, how best to use those dollars to really build the brand and build the business for all of our franchisees.
Now, you'd mentioned local store marketing.
Yeah.
And I know that when franchisees are looking at Shoeless Joe's, they hear that there's 2% for advertising, and that's the ad fund that you're talking about. And then there's another 2% they're supposed to allocate towards local store marketing. And Shoeless Joe's has done something really interesting recently when it comes to that local store marketing budget. Can you elaborate a bit about on that?
Sure.
And tell us a little bit about the support that you give them?
Sure. The ad fund in the past didn't really support local store marketing, was all the onus on the franchisees. And of course, there's franchisees that spend, you know, much more than 2% in local store marketing. I think they're the franchisees that understand how important it is to engage the community and to really drive that involvement with the community, etc. And then there are other franchisees who spend their efforts and monies elsewhere. But I think what I wanted to do was come to the table and say for everyone that can we provide an incentive for all franchisees to spend more in local store marketing. And the way we've done that is that we've created something called the LSM Fund Matching Budget. So it's very simple really in terms of the concept, is that over the first few months of the year, if the franchisees have done a number of great LSM initiatives, then they basically send that to us, and what we do is we match up to an amount that, for the franchisees that they can then use to spend for the remainder of the year. So for example, if a store, and that fund matching is based on proportionality of sales, that store contributes to overall Shoeless Joe's sales. So if that store is contributing X% to sales, we give them X% of that fund matching budget. And I think really what this is going to do is provide an incentive. I know franchisees get very busy. They've got so much on their plate. They've got to manage people. They've got to manage customers. They've got to deliver programs. It's a tough job. So anything we can do to make things easier or incent them or help them do more with that, I think is going to just have a very positive impact on the business.
Excellent. Now, one of the things when it comes to local store marketing is I always hear about sweat equity being a part of local store marketing. Getting out there with the Chamber of Commerce, getting out there to sponsor sports teams. How much do you see sweat equity contributing to a local store marketing budget as a franchisee being an active owner in their community?
I think it's very, very important. And I think, part of what we try to, our job is to help the franchisees be as successful as possible. And to that end, we have a marketing manager, Melanie Correa, who works with the franchisees, etc. We put together for local store marketing some what we're calling non-negotiables, but more importantly, these are kind of 5 or 6 things that really are effective in terms of having successful local store marketing. And I think becoming a member of the Chamber of Commerce helps you really engage the community, helps you kind of reach out to different members of the community. We have one of the most successful programs we have is is our partnership with the OMHA. So it's the Ontario Minor Hockey Association. And what we do is every year we give away 330,000 certificates to kids who play in the OMHA tournaments.
Did you say 330,000?
330,000 certificates. Wow. Each certificate is a free kids meal. So we have kids, we have every game that's played, we have the winning team, or both teams give one player of the game certificate from Shoeless Joe's. That drives those kids to come into our restaurants, where we give them a nice player of the game certificate with their name on it. And that's an example of where we're celebrating sports, where their families coming to celebrate it through great food and drinks, and definitely that's a way of engaging the community. So I think we try to do a number of programs that help with that, and I know that a lot of our franchisees are doing the same in their own communities. And sometimes I watch it, and sometimes they'll be kind enough to send me the newspaper clippings and other kind of videos or things of events, and I couldn't be prouder.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
If I'm a franchisee considering investing in Shoeless Joe's, why?
Well, I think the most important thing for me is, well, first of all, it's fun.
Okay.
I try to explain to people that my job is about celebrating sports, great food and drinks, and great times. So how much work can that be? Well, it is a lot of work. But,
it is a lot of work.
When you're enjoying
because you put in a lot of late nights.
No, I'm sure you do too. But when you're enjoying what you do, I think that's what really drives success. To be passionate about what you do. So I think first of all, I would say that the concept itself is a lot of fun. The second thing I would say is that I think we really found a path of differentiation. So what I'm saying is that we're not necessarily fighting the restaurant piece. We're really kind of creating a sports hospitality, a sports destination piece. And I think for me, I don't see anyone else doing it, the way we're doing it. And I think for someone to come on board, I think guarantee you've got to love sports. That has to be one solid criteria that we can't bypass. But if you love sports and you love great food and drinks, great times, I think this is a fantastic brand for you, because we really are carving out kind of new territory, and I think that's going to help differentiate us in the marketplace.
Speaking of carving out new territory, what is the next big thing for Shoeless Joe's?
Well,
I know you just finished giving birth to the big thing.
Well, I think
what's the next big thing?
Well, I think
because everybody says what's next.
Absolutely. I think there's no next one big thing. I think it's just working hard at a number of things. I think the first year, I've been here less than a year, and I think the first year what we looked at is, what we did was we looked at kind of what Shoeless Joe stood for, and we found a new positioning for ourselves. We've now got a new logo that supports that positioning. We're going out to our suppliers, we're going out to new partners, and we're talking about that positioning and saying, come on board with us, because we can work together to deliver that. So I think we're doing a lot of those things on that side. The other thing is that I really believe that we've made quantum improvements in our drinks and our food menus. I think we had some really strong drink and food menus, but I think the new menus are that much stronger. And I think we've now built a very strong platform that we can really leverage. So I'm very confident going forward saying a couple things. One is that I want to build a brand. I want to do more about getting that brand awareness out there so people know more about Shoeless Joe's, and because I'm very confident now when they come in and experience, you know, what we have to offer, I think the satisfaction level is going to be, you know, through the roof. So I think brand building will be kind of the next frontier for us, and I think social media is the next frontier. And you know, I'm a little bit of a dinosaur. I was trained, you know, in packaged goods to work with traditional media, and I think, you know, watching my kids and watching, you know, what's going on with social media, I got to tell you, every time you have a job, you want part of your job to be, you know, what you can really drive and what your skill set is, and you want part of your job to be learning. And the world is changing so fast on social media. I'm really excited about that new frontier. So I think on the social media side, I want to help our franchisees to develop a platform where they can engage their customers in a one-to-one relationship. So along with what we're delivering in store, if we can have that relationship with the franchisees outside of the store as well through social media, I think we'll have a pretty big win.
Excellent. KB, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
And thank you for joining us on Ask Mr. Franchise, and we'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right.